We finally got some new info about the next VR headset from Valve, which is also known as the Index 2, and the big plans for a potential new Half-Life game as its launch title, as well as some big news about the Batman VR game and much more. So let's dive right into it. The rumors and leaks surrounding the next VR headset from Valve have been going on ever since the release of the original Index all the way back in 2019. And while this seems like ages ago, at the time, the Index was the golden standard when it came to PC VR headsets. And thanks to that, a lot of people were patiently waiting for its successor that is often also referred to under the codename called Deckard, with the headset itself supposed to be complete standalone, similar to the Quest lineup from Meta, and including a hybrid option so that you can also connect it to your computer and play PC VR games. Now, while a lot of people thought that Valve had completely given up on making VR headsets, we now do have some news that the production and potential release might be a lot closer than we thought, since the first news on this came from a known Valve leaker by the name of MC Vicker, who stated the following: Valve's much hyped standalone, known only as the Deckard, is still very much in production, which MC Vicker maintains, saying that according to his sources, that Valve still intends on shipping this piece of hardware. But what is even more interesting is that he also now reports that not only the long-awaited standalone VR headset is still coming, but it may arrive alongside its own Half-Life game. And this could be an absolute game changer, not only for Valve, but for VR in general, because Half-Life Alyx, which was released alongside the original Index, is still known today as one of the best VR games of all time, putting the expectations for this one to another level. But that's not the only confirmation we got, because the official product designer from Valve, named Greg Coomer, had an interview a while ago where he stated the following: I can definitely say that we are continuing to develop VR headsets recently, and Valve has a lot of expertise in VR devices and has faith in the medium and VR games. This means that while the wait has been already so long, it does seem that the Index successor is definitely in the making. I just hope that the head chief, known as Gabe Newell, will finally release it sooner than later, since they are notoriously known for never creating sequels. But yet another important confirmation that we should also keep in mind is their so-called Project Gallia, because this gets often confused and mixed up with the Index 2 or Deckard. And this Project Gallia was the prototype of a revolutionary VR headset that had a BCI, which stands for Brain-Computer Interface, built into it, making it feel similar, like a first step to a full dive nerve gear from something like Sword Art Online. And while it seemed that Valve was pretty far in the stages of development in the project, in the end it got completely shifted to the high-end VR headset maker known as Varjo, and they then went on to release this product in very limited batches for the absolute ridiculous amount of $35,000. But what this means is that while the Project Gallia from Valve might be cancelled, it doesn't have any direct connections or influence on the Index 2 or Deckard. But sadly, because of the long time since the release of the original Index, we can see a slow decline in headset usage of Valve when we look at the monthly Steam hardware survey. Now keep in mind that this is just for PC VR, and while the Quest 2 is majorly at the top, it is the Quest 3 that is now just a tiny bit removed from taking the second place away of the Index. Of course, this is also because of the release of Steam Link, which is the software of Valve that lets Quest users play PC VR games directly. And since they have updated it many times and even added in some new features like hand tracking for PC VR games, it seems likely that this software could eventually end up in the Index 2 headset. But besides all this exciting new hardware, we also had some big VR game news, with some first looks at the Batman VR game from the original beta test. But before we get into that, let's have a quick word from the company that made this video possible. Because if you feel like your screen in VR is sometimes blurry, then you might want to check out the lenses from the company named VR Wave, because this can especially make a big difference if you are already wearing glasses or contacts in real life. Not only will it then instantly make your screen look sharper, it will also give some rest to your eyes thanks to the correct adjustments and integrated blue light filter. So for those who are interested, I'll leave a link for those in the description as well. And with that said, let's get right back into it, because we finally got some gameplay of the highly anticipated VR game called Batman Arkham Shadow. Now of course, while the Arkham series is well known for its free flow combat, the first big hurdle of adapting this into VR was to implement this correctly. So the developers, known as Camouflage, almost turned it into a boxing simulator. For example, if one of your opponents goes for a sucker punch, you will be warned with a blue icon that shows up directly in your field of vision. And when you correctly swing your arms in the indicated direction, it will abandon the current target in favor of countering the incoming punch. That way, you will never be caught off guard. However, you are also always shadowboxing, meaning it does burn some calories while you're playing this VR game. And next to using your fist, you will also have some other equipment like a batarang that you can throw out to target distant switches or toss them at an enemy for a good stun shot. You will also have to keep in mind that this is running on a Quest 3, making the graphics look a lot better than we originally expected. And for the Batman fans out there, this story will put you into the control of an investigation that takes Batman into the Gotham sewer system, and with your main opponent being the Rat King, who's been organizing loads of crimes and kidnapping of policemen, letting it up to the player once again to save the city. And with its release in the last quarter of 2024, it looks like it could set itself up as one of the best Quest 3 exclusives. But some sad VR game news is that the VR MMO known as Zenith: The Lost City has now officially ceased development after they released their last update, with the developers releasing their final content drop known as Season 4, The Golden Isles. This still brings a lot of new content to the free-to-play section known as Infinite Realms, as well as a bunch of bug fixes across the game. But players will also notice some new layouts, cosmetics, and the return of the original Fast Fly mode. But sadly, this is all done as the big farewell to Zenith, with the studio announcing that since they are running at a huge loss, they will not be including any updates from this day forward. And they even dropped the original price from $30 to just $10. But while the studio is shutting down development, it is not killing off the game entirely. That means that Zenith: The Lost City, as well as its free-to-play Infinite Realms, will still be running for the foreseeable future. But don't expect too many players to be around. But we also got a complete new and relaxing game known as Pets and Stuff. This cute and fun title lets you become a skilled groomer and veterinarian, where you will have to help these little ones that are in trouble and make them happy by pampering, cleaning, and feeding them. But the best part of the game is that just like their other title called Shave and Stuff, the biggest feature is that you can let your imagination run wild, from trimming to coloring or capturing the best photo shoots from your creations. And thanks to a variety of products and tools at your disposal, you can style them in any way you see fit. And as a bonus, with their recent update, they now also added multiple locations, with the ability to also upgrade your own clinic and add some personality to it. So if you always wanted to start your own animal clinic, then make sure to check this one out. And another fun game that made its way on Steam and Quest is known as Wasted Shot. This is an open-world VR game that is inspired by GTA, and since Meta has officially cancelled the production of San Andreas VR, it is great to see that some other titles are still drawing some inspiration from it. Because in here, you can explore the world or use some physics-based combat. And while you can also pull up at some random side jobs or complete the main campaign missions, you can also spend the in-game money for upgrades to change things like your clothes and hairstyles. But the real gameplay mostly just consists of you messing around in the open world and having fun. But that's not all, because we also had some other must-play VR games for your VR headset. So click on the video that you see on screen right now to make sure you don't miss out. And of course, stay awesome.